All right, we'll open up our public hearing finally here. We'll start out with a reading of the notice.
Are you making the motion? To open it?
Yeah.
Okay, second.
Is that?
Alan? Yep, okay. All in favor?
All right.
Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will hold a public hearing pursuant to 274 and/or 276 of the state law and as prescribed in the district schedule of area and bulk regulations of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applications regarding a special use permit application for online firearms transactions submitted by Evan Yearman for a parcel located at 171 Mountain Laurel Road, Phoenicia, New York, 12464, indicated as SBL number 25.1-2-3.100. The public hearing will be scheduled for Wednesday, November 14, 2018, in the Town Hall Building, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, at 6:45 p.m. Anyone interested in this is invited to attend this meeting by order of the Town of Shandaken Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay. Did everyone sign in? That wishes to speak? Do you want me to sign in?
No, no, you're that Heather.
Okay, so
Okay, we got the first one. Actually, let's have the applicant give a little spiel first.
Okay.
You have to sign in to ask the question?
Yes,
Yeah.
if you'd like to speak, you
Yeah.
need to put your name on our sign-in sheet.
you can just tell me what it is.
Jim?
Jim?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good evening, I'm Hillary Smith. I'm a planning consultant, and I'm here representing an application for a home-based occupation. It's a Class 2 home-based occupation because it occurs in an accessory building on the premises. It's 160-plus acres. The premises are located in the central portion of the property. It's accessed by Mountain Laurel Road. The business that will be conducted is primarily what you would say like an online business. It doesn't involve manufacturing to the scale and level that would be typically expected with the normal definition of the word manufacturing. For the purposes of the ATF, Federal Firearms License considers manufacturing when you do any alteration to any type of firearms. In order to do that, you need to have a federal firearms license for manufacturing. There is no actual business activity like manufacturing that would be occurring on the site. There's no employees, there's no related traffic, there's no signage, there's no need for any construction, any parking, or any physical changes whatsoever.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So what does the word manufacturing mean in the application?
In the ATF application for
Yes.
federal
Yes.
anytime you alter a firearm, if you make any changes to it physically, it's considered manufacturing. And you can only do that if you have a special license from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco,
So what
and
type of
Firearms.
alterations are going to be made?
Well, any type of customization that might be desired, including changing of stocks or barrels or lengths or design, materials, embellishments.
I'm still not quite clear. When you say embellishments, what do you mean by that?
Have you ever seen any custom guns that are done very artistically, that aren't your standard stock?
So that would be using like milling equipment or cutting machines or things like that?
Perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions from the board for the applicant?
Does this apply to any firearm then? Are any firearms prohibited or allowed or not? Is there a list of what is okay?
Anything that is legally permissible federally and within federal and state regulations. Just like anybody who has a standard pistol permit license, a license to operate a firearm would be available to use.
I assume something like a machine gun is not.
Listen, I'm not an expert in firearms, and that's not our job to regulate what exactly happens on the property in terms of that. That's the federal government's job. The federal firearms license involves a lot of oversight and documentation and investigation by law enforcement, the local sheriffs. They're subject to any site visits at any time to determine, that things are happening in compliance with that federal firearms license. And it's a very serious license, and the feds take it very seriously.
Yeah, except from what I read on the internet, the percentage of actual site visits that the federal government makes is extremely low. So
That's not my...
well, you're telling us that we should rely on the federal government to check on the site. And I'm concerned if what I read says that the federal government makes very few site visits, that means that there's nobody checking on the site.
Well, I think of it like a restaurant or a health department. Things happen in accordance with the regulations, and you don't go and investigate the restaurants to make sure that they're complying with their health department regulations. You defer to the appropriate authority and regulating body for that particular license. So what you're really looking at is the application for the home-based occupation and the extent of activity that your rules and regulations allow to happen on the site, which is what he will be in compliance with, regardless of what the federal firearms license may permit. The local zoning regulations would trump any type of additional activity beyond the scope of which you have permitted, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
So the type of activity that can occur on the site has to be in compliance with your home-based occupation regulations.
Hi, you're Mr. Yerman?
I am, yes.
All right, let's have the first.
Robert Goldstein.
Hi. Can I ask, are there any requirements for a person asking for a permit? Do they have to show anything like hardship or why they want to change the essential character of the neighborhood that everybody else?
Well, they're given a site plan list that they have to follow through and check off, which they've done.
They've shown hardship.
I think the question he's asking is how is the use permitted by the town zoning?
It all depends on the definition of it. They're putting in for a home occupation class 2, which is allowed in that district with a special permit, which, like I said, they have guidelines that they have to follow for applying with a special permit.
Everybody on the mountain signed the covenant when the homes were built. And the covenants, the first covenant states that all of the premises owned by the declarant in said subdivision shall be known and designated as residential plots and shall be used only for residential purposes. The fifth covenant states, hunting and discharge of firearms is prohibited in all areas of the entire subdivision. Now, since the covenant is attached to the deed, I can only assume that Mr. Yerman read all this. yet bought the property, I'm assuming with the intention of relying on a variance. We've lived there since 1989. It's been a nice, quiet area. This is definitely going to change the character of the neighborhood. We've already heard gunshots on several different days. And there's no reason for us to believe that the noise level could not increase should he be given the permit. This will most assuredly affect the value of our homes, the resale value. And I don't understand why it's even being considered, quite frankly. Why one person's desires should mean more than everybody else on the mountain.
Everybody has a right in town to come before the planning board with what they desire to do, so.
I
we just never
understand.
have-
My kitchen window is less than 100 feet from the cul-de-sac at the top, which then leads to Mr. Yerman's driveway. How do I know that I'm not going to be listening to tractor trailers idling for an hour while his tenuous road, which is a mile past the cul-de-sac, is being used to ferry whatever might be ferried up and back? This, I believe, opens a can of worms, not just of what we can address, but also things that we don't even know 100% what's allowed. That's why I asked, what does the Class 2 allow? To what degree? Today, they're saying they're only going to do this. Once they have the permit, we don't know what the limits of what they can do are. And then it's going to be up to us to spend money to go after, when we all built on the mountain for the purpose not to have to deal with this. And again, I say, were all 5 items met to allow, if I'm understanding this correctly? No such use variance shall be granted by a Board of Appeals without a showing by the applicant that
This is not the Board of Appeals, this is the planning board.
Okay. Do these not,
We're not, this isn't a variance, it's a special use permit.
so this doesn't apply?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, my concerns,
There's no need to show hardship, it's just an application.
okay. Well, right now we're hearing small arms gunfire. We don't know what might be coming down the road. A jewel-encrusted submachine gun might be ordered and need to be tested. These are real concerns of ours, and it definitely will change the essential character of the neighborhood, which will most definitely affect the housing values and the resale values.
Okay, you asked what we look at with a special permit, and that would be the location, the size of the use, the location, the height of the buildings, that type of thing, walls, fences, proposed traffic, SS, as you spoke of. Off-street parking we take a look at if it's necessary. Any buildings and equipment that outside storage we take a look at. Those type of things. We take a look at signage, if they need signage or lighting, how that's going to affect the neighbors. So those are the type of things we look at with a special use permit. They have to have a survey showing us the property and the location of what they want to do. We make sure that it's within the zoning setbacks and all the things that need to be done. So those are some of the things we look at with a site plan.
And the covenants, do they carry any weight?
Yeah,
It says right on it, no firearms, to be shot, no businesses, residential only. Everybody invested their hard-earned money to build on the mountain, knowing or thinking that there wouldn't be these problems. And apparently our wishes are being ignored, so.
well, no, they're not. That's why we have a public hearing.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. You said you live right next to the cul-de-sac. Then you said something about the bill as Yerman's property is like a mile down.
No,
His driveway is a mile? No.
no. His property is a mile above the cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac is 100 feet from my kitchen window, 110 feet maybe. And should there be traffic unloading, whatever might be unloaded in the future,
But the gunshots would be a mile up.
Correct.
the gunshots are very clear, much louder than the gun range across 28th. And as I say, it says right in the covenants, number 5, it says no gunshots.
This is the first time we've seen a covenant. So we have to figure out what.
Well, the attorney said he forwarded you, would you like a copy of the covenants?
I think I got one from Koplovitz, Butterfirst.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I didn't read it yet.
Okay, well, if you look at number 1 and number 5,
Is there anything in the application seeking permission to shoot?
No, not specifically.
the shooting is already taking place.
But we're not ruling on that or looking at that. We're not applying for that for us. That's a separate issue that you have to address with him.
The planning board does not enforce deed restrictions.
We're not enforcing that.
Please take that into strong
The
consideration.
planning board. Do you know, Mr. Chairman, what might be helpful is to go through the standards for home occupations, just to give them an idea of the limitations that are placed on home occupations as opposed to a standard business operation. Would that be helpful?
Well,
Not really.
what he's doing is coming on the gunsmithing, and that's what I got from the incident.
Essentially.
And so it does allow him to basically have an inside firing range, so that would interfere with what he's talking about. Me personally, I don't have a problem with what he wants to do, but I just do have a problem with the gunshots because we got a firing range across the valley that just runs us crazy, starting, it's just crazy. But that was there when we bought into that. When I built my house, that was there. So I didn't have a problem with that then. But to have gunshots coming from the front of me and then behind me, because he's a mile east above my property line with his. And my property line ties to his, and his property line ties to his. So I really don't have a problem with what he's doing. I just, if he could have an inside firing range or something where he can test his guns, because I do understand with gunsmithing, you have to test guns. There will be a lot of shots. And that's pretty much all, and I don't want it to interfere with my property value either. So that's pretty much where I'm at on it.
You ready for the next one?
Can I just ask also the home occupation that's being asked? Does it exclude people coming to the house? Today, he may not have that intention. Once given the permit, things might change.
Do you want me to go through the home occupation standards? And how this application compares? Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Okay, so a home occupation may only be conducted within a dwelling that is a residence of the practitioner. Okay, so in residential dwelling, all right. Class 2 home occupations are those that occur in a separate building as opposed to the Class 1, which is in the primary residence. Not more than 2 such home occupations, whether Class 1 or Class 2, may occur on a single residential premises. We are just proposing 1. The home occupation activity, whether located within the dwelling, shall comply with applicable requirements of New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Building Code and shall occupy no more than 500 square feet of gross floor area or 25% of the gross floor area of the dwelling, whichever is greater. We're in about 1,000 square foot accessory structure, so comply with that. Except for articles produced on the premises and other articles customarily associated with the product produced or service on the premises, no stock in trade shall be displayed or sold on the premises. We'll be in compliance with that. There will be no displays or retail sales or other related accessory sales. No alteration to the exterior of the principal residential building. There's no construction or alteration proposed. It talks about signage. There's no signage. No outdoor display or outdoor storage of equipment. There will be none of that. There won't even be any. All materials will need to be stored in accordance with federal rules and regulations. Not more than 4 persons other than members of the household occupying the dwelling unit shall be employed. There are no employees associated with this business.
President.
And the town's regulations say you can have up to 4, but there's no intention to operate an actual business with employees on the site for that purpose. There shall be no sharing or subletting. Off-street parking shall be provided. We don't need any off-street parking. We already have existing residential parking, which is perfectly suitable for the use, which is restricted to the resident. Home occupation shall be fully consistent with other provisions of this chapter. That's it.
So in other words, you could have 4 employees.
The town's law does allow special.
We could have 4 cars coming up in the morning, going down for lunch, coming back from lunch, going down at night.
Correct.
That's what
But
the
in their
permit will allow.
application, they're saying that, you know, I expect 4.
Keep in mind that a residential property of that size typically has a number of household domestic employees anyways that would be normal and customarily associated.
Ms. White?
Sure. Hello, my name is Armicia White, also 160 Mountain Laurel Road, and I'll make this real quick. We've been up there since 1989. It's a quiet, wonderful place, and I think that this is the beginning of something that cannot be scrutinized because you require someone to go and visit on a regular basis, and no one's going to be able, no official is going to be able to go up and down. Now, you say it's going to be altering firearms, yes. However, you have to have the delivery of the firearms to be altered and the delivery to pick up to send the firearms back. Now, my concern is how many firearms? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 100? And where does it stop? Where is the line drawn to say, okay, this is enough? I don't see where the line is drawn or where the line will be drawn in the near future to say that this is enough. So my concern is it is changing the entire mountain from residential to commercial. Where does it stop? That is my concern.
Thank you.
Jim?
I pretty much said what I had to say.
That's it.
Okay, there's no other citizens that want to say anything, then we'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we'll close our public hearing, and then we'll open up our regular meeting for this November 14th.
May I ask, how will be made aware of your determination?
Well, our meeting is, right now, we're going to discuss it. We'll see if there's a determination made tonight or not. So I mean, you're welcome to stick around. It shouldn't be, it's not going to be a long, lengthy meeting because it's the only one issue we have tonight. So I'd like to...
And I'll just stress one more time, I'm more concerned about my tax rates going up. I don't want my taxes to be shot up in the sky because somebody else has got a commercial business,
Okay.
you know?
I can address some of the questions unless we're...
The hearing is over.
Yeah, we close the public hearing, but we'll have the regular meeting, which you'll have a... Fine, so let's start with the legislature. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.